Welcome to the Andy Social Podcast. My name is Andy and we are back. Another week of classic podcasting to delight your eardrums. Sorry. If this is your first time listening to the Andy Social Podcast, welcome. And I do hope that you enjoy this week's episode. And when you have a chance, I hope that you go back and listen to some of the previous guests that I've had on the Andy Social Podcast. I've been very lucky and privileged over, how long? I'm up to episode 75 now, so it's incredible. But yeah, I've been so lucky to speak to so many different people from all different backgrounds and walks of life, whether it be musicians, TV hosts, comedians, directors, podcasters, pilots, pirates, professors, you name it, I've had them on, or at least it feels like it sometimes. However, with that being said, my list continues to expand at a very fast rate. And this week is another name to add to that ever-growing list. So I'll dive right in. So this week's guest is a name or a man or a person or a human. I'll try and spit this out. But his name is James Lopes. And James runs a video production company called Arcshot Media. I've known James for quite a few years, and well, to be honest, I'll probably break James's heart because I can't quite remember the first time that I met him. But I believe it was around the time or a little bit before Lord, filmed our first video clip, which was New Horizons back in, well, that would have been 7 or 8 years ago now. So it's been a while. So James has worked alongside Tim in our band, doing music videos for around that long, probably a bit longer than that. And that's how we've known James. And James has become one of my closest friends and an amazing guy. And we've had some amazing times together over the years. And it was great to catch up and have a chat to him. So we talk about all sorts of stuff, but focus a lot on what he's currently doing with Arcshot Media. As of late, the business has, I guess, morphed into what used to be called Dusk music video production, where James and Tim primarily focused on music videos. And over the last few years, James has branched out and started doing a lot of corporate stuff, and in particular, real estate videos. So we spend a lot of time talking about that. And for me, initially, I thought that video in real estate was relatively new or a new concept. But James was quick to tell me that he's been doing this for about 6 or 7 years now. So it's something that I guess has been around for a little bit now, but James has really sort of made a niche for himself in this market and gets a lot of work doing real estate videos all across Sydney. So we talk a bit about that. We talk about earlier beginnings in video production, his interest in that. We talk about his, not escape from the cubicle because he didn't work in a cubicle, but moving away from being employed to becoming a freelancer and being a business owner, like running his own business. And we talk about how that happened and the day after he walked out of his job and how that felt. And to be honest, that's something that I got a bit of an adrenaline rush for. I'm like, oh, that sounds amazing. So we talk a lot about that. And we also talk a lot about one of our old friends, Arnie Olbridge. And Arnie, for those that are long-term listeners of the podcast, I believe it was episode 3. I had Arnie on the podcast, and Arnie used to run Kickstart Studios in Wollongong, where Dungeon and Lord used to rehearse, and we rehearsed there for 10 plus years. And Arnie was involved in some music projects. Some of his music over the years was re-recorded and released several years back with Tim and James heavily involved. And unfortunately, Arnie passed away from cancer a while back, and it was only a few months actually after we did the podcast together. And because of James's early beginnings in video production, some of those earlier jobs that he had involved doing music videos for Arnie. So we spent a lot of time talking about Arnie and some of those earlier video clips, which I'll put in the show notes. And I'll also link to that episode that I had with Arnie, which even now at episode 75 is still one of the best podcast episodes I ever done. And I do listen back every once in a while. It's just it's odd listening to that episode now, given what's happened since then. But it's a really nice episode to listen to. I highly recommend it, and we talk a little bit about that in the episode. All the links to what James does are going to be in the show notes over at andysocial.net. So make sure you go over there. I'll put contact info in there as well. So if you want to reach out to him, if you've got an idea or you want some video work done, James is your man. And or if you just want to reach out and say hello, he's got a pretty handsome, sexy voice. So any fans of that can reach out to him as well. All right, enough of me. Let's kick into this. A great chat with one of my closest friends, James Lopes. Thanks for inviting me to your house.
Thanks for coming.
And thanks for the coffee.
It's been a while. It's been a long time. I'm afraid it's kind of the right colour, but the wrong substance. But it is a bit early for the other. It is.
The
amber one.
Especially when there's a bit of driving involved afterwards.
A lot of driving, and we're both working today.
You've got commitments.
Man's got a job to do.
So where are you going today?
I'm going to Pagewood. I'm filming. This is a first for me. It's a real estate open home.
All right.
So there are some challenges to try to make it interesting.
So what, with people there coming and going?
Yeah.
So this is the first time you've had a job where there's actually people coming in and out of the house? Like normally it'd be an empty property?
No. So I've filmed, hundreds of real estate auctions and that sort of stuff, and general comings and goings depending on whatever the video is. But this is it's just the open. So it's an open home. People are turning up to check it out. The agency wants to they do things quite differently. And so my job's to really kind of highlight that and make the video interesting. And open homes just aren't interesting. So I love the challenge. What can I do to make it like cool as hell?
So is it a case that after the first open home, is it to advertise this property further, or is it just to show the business of what they do as a general thing as to this particular real estate agent?
Probably a little bit of both, I think. Like, while the property's on the market, this will kind of be good marketing for it. But at the same time, it'll achieve a bit of longevity because it's kind of like, wow, this is how these guys do it. That's kind of cool, if I'm doing my job right and making it look funky. So
do you find with real estate, we could go down a rabbit hole straight away, but do you find with working with real estate and doing video work for real estate agencies that there's similar approaches taken when you deal with musicians for music video clips? So especially if you've got an agent that's in front of the camera, because I've seen some of the videos that you've done, and it's like the walk through the house, gliding through the house and the different rooms, and you've got someone talking in the background. But with some of the videos, you've got the agent that's almost starring in the video itself. Is there some similar sort of approaches that you have to take with real estate agents and musicians?
I love the agents who give me absolute creative license.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And I so use the music video, my kind of experience there, to cut something as cool as I can possibly make it. So I filmed just a little flat in North Bondi, and the agent, lovely girl, she sort of says, do you reckon it's worthwhile? And I said, what's it like? And she goes, it's not overly exciting kind of thing. And I kind of went, well, maybe lifestyle and location. And she kind of went, oh yeah, okay, cool. So we went along, and I had it in my head. I thought, if I can find a cool track, I'm going to cut it to the music, which I don't normally do for real estate sort of stuff. And she was just kind of like, go hard.
Yeah, right.
Go hard. So I filmed her in like super slow motion, walking down Bondi Promenade, and she was looking like cool, filmed the place, all that sort of stuff, and then I just went berserk on the video. I cut it in time to this beautiful track that I'd found, and I sent it through to her. And it was like 40-second video. It was over in no time flat. Yeah. And I'm kind of my harshest critic, because if I can watch it through to the end, I don't know if I've got ADHD kind of like you, where it's just like shiny thing looking elsewhere sort of thing. But if it doesn't impress me, I can't send it to the client, And I watched this thing like 60 times before I sent it to her. I just kind of went, hey man, like, check you out. And she just kind of went, holy crap, it's amazing. So mission accomplished.
It'd be different, I guess, in a sense with real estate agents, because I guess, well, now with that whole industry changing a lot, there's a lot more video work out there for property listings and for agencies and whatnot. But I guess with the musicians, in a lot of cases, they're already envisioning themselves in front of the camera. They're still surprised when they see themselves in that final the final result, the final product. But there's already the expectation there. But with an agent, I guess with a lot of these agents, potentially anyway, they're not expecting to be in front of the camera, and they've never seen themselves in front of the camera. So you're almost turning them into that rock star, into that celebrity in front of the camera, like that video example you just said.
It's weird, you know. The only group who's ever sort of had an expectation of how it's going to look is you guys. Because Tim has this clarity of vision. He knows how it's already going to look and how he wants it to look and all that sort of stuff. And so it's very much just kind of playing out a shot list.
Yep.
Juz from Platinum Brunette again has like, that guy's amazing. Like he'll storyboard it, and I love his art. And he'll these are the shots that I'm kind of envisioning, and he'll have this all planned out with Tim, and then we'll go shoot. Again, very much a clear vision. But in every other instance,
just on a quick side note, were you involved with that Sound of Metal?
Yes.
Okay, I watched one of the rough cuts of that the other day. That's just. Oh, that is just insane. I think if it comes out in the next few weeks, or whenever Tim's finally getting it done or when Juz decides to put it out there, I'll have to chuck it on the website, because that video clip is next level ridiculous. And
it was.
I think it just goes to show how insane Juz really is.
Juz is an absolute genius. Like, I absolutely love that guy. He's so organized. And we just went to a green room out at I can't remember where it was now. Out near. Drawing a complete blank now. It doesn't matter. Anyway, and just filmed him, and he nailed every single part. And then he'd go wardrobe change, come back, and then he'd nail that part. And I don't know, he was playing. Was it 8 or 10 or 11 characters in this? He's like
a white Eddie Murphy. Like he's just he is insane. Like, I mean, that guy should get into some proper acting, because he's
brilliant. He's really, just really I just love how organized. I just know with one of his shoots.
Yeah.
I know the gear that I'm supposed to bring. I know, basically how to set it up, and I just know that he's going to be absolutely ready. And we'd allowed, I think 6 to 8 hours we'd allowed for the shoot, and it was done in 3.5 or something.
Wow.
Like he
something
just
like that.
It was incredible. Yeah.
So those sort of things, and with Tim involved as well, that's probably more the exception rather than the rule. So in most cases, even with music videos, a lot of people don't know what they want, or they can't see that final vision. So you're really sort of, I guess, molding that with them as you go, so the process can take a bit longer.
Well, with a music video, I've generally got a track.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll kind of come up with some ideas. I'll storyboard a track. I'll throw it at the artist.
Yep.
Generally, I kind of nail it, but always invite their input, and then they'll sort of say, "Oh, yeah, I love that, but can we also do?" Yes, we can. Like whatever.
Yeah.
Majority of the stuff I do for real estate and corporate promo, business promo, that sort of stuff, I am so winging it.
Yeah.
Absolutely winging it. Like today, I've got a bit of a brief.
Yeah.
But it's inspiration just strikes, and I just go, oh my God, I need to get that now, and I've got a rough idea of their expectation. What I'll do is I just blow them out of the park, because I'll see something and just go, oh my God, I need that.
Is it still relatively new, having video in real estate as far as advertising an agency and listings and whatnot? Because I see it a lot more often now. But it's still, I mean, I'm not involved in it. I'm not in that world, but it seems to be still, you're sort of at the beginnings of it, because especially when you can walk into a lot of these jobs and they're giving you creative license, whereas if something's been sort of a part of the industry for so many years, you probably tend to find the other way around, where they say, we know what we want. We've got a formula. We've got a template. This is how we've been doing it for years. And this is our expectations. Whereas at the moment, it appears anyway, from my perspective, that it's still relatively new in the grand scheme of things. And a lot of people don't know what they want. So it gives you an opportunity to really sort of just go, here's some ideas and create something unique. Or am I way off?
No, it seems to be quite new to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like I've been doing this for 7 years now.
Yeah.
In real estate.
Yeah, wow, it's been
in
that long.
amongst. I know, it was 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
I lose a little bit of track of time, as we discussed
Yes.
earlier. But to a lot of people, it's still this new thing where it's kind of, what planet have you been living on? Like, I've been doing this for so long. There are some agencies out there who just kind of rely on the market, just know that it'll sell because it's well priced in a good location, whatever.
Yep.
But it's from my perspective, yes, it's about the house. But it's also about them, and real estate agents. The public has a very poor opinion of realtors in general. It's just a thing. There are some statistics on it. Apparently, it's quite bizarre. So part of my job, my charter really is to actually kind of humanize them and kind of, because the majority of people I work with are actually awesome folks.
Yep.
Like it's people says, oh, I hate real estate agents. You don't understand. Like, some of these are actually my personal friends. They're actually really good people.
Yeah.
And when I've kind of got that sort of in my head about them, when I actually understand that about them, it's actually really easy to coax reality out of them because, you know yourself, when you're in front of a camera, there is that tendency to freeze. And I'm not settling for that at all. And so I'll make all sorts of off-color jokes and all sorts of... I was
going to say, what sort of tactics do you use? Because, I mean, a lot of these people wouldn't be used to being in front of the camera.
I actually get quite physical with people. So I'll get right inside their personal space and adjust their tie, give them, like... one guy I gave a kiss on the cheek. I was like, "Come on, mate!" And he was just like, "What the hell? What just happened? Jesus Christ!" He was, but it's all about I get that rapport happening with them, and I struggle to use the word client because the majority of them are actually friends. They really are friends now. And I'm not saying this because this is on public record. I'm saying it because it's awesome and it's true, and they'll validate that.
Yeah.
And so we develop that rapport, which means that I can actually make them look real because they are real. And so I want to try to get everybody else to see them as I see them. Yeah, there are dicks, but there are dicks in every industry.
Yeah.
There are dicks in music. There are dicks in...
there's plenty of dicks in music. You're right. And one thing that I noticed is, I mean, real estate agents have, as you said, like stereotypically, they've got this stigma attached to them, and it's similar to car salesmen, mechanics.
Yeah, totally.
All these things, dodgy people that, are more obsessed or self-obsessed or self-absorbed and have got their own agenda and can't be trusted. And one thing, because I'd never really, my experience with real estate agents was being a renter.
Yeah.
And seeing it from that perspective. And to be honest, an early 20s drinking beer every second day renter in a hellhole, I don't blame the real estate agent for being a little bit arsey with me. So, like in looking back now, but at the time, like my experiences were always not terribly positive. There were always, there's always a bit of an attack on both sides. But when we bought our house, the guy who sold us the house, and I was up front at the beginning, I was a little bit defensive with him because of my thoughts of what a real estate agent...
notions, yeah, of course.
Absolutely. But as soon as he had our email addresses, we were getting YouTube videos from him, not personalized to us, but he would do just little updates about the area and the market and whatever. And suddenly I'm seeing him and he's talking, and I'm seeing this personal aspect to him. And then I started seeing his face on the signs around the area for other properties, and I'm like, oh, that's Jamie, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And suddenly there's a personality behind it. I don't know a great deal about him, but the human aspect of that individual is there. It's not just a real estate agent. It's Jamie from this real estate agency.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty conscious thing that you've had to take on with doing video, because most people will go, okay, well, I've got to film something to sell a house to somebody, and that's all I'll do. So as long as I can visually get the house in the shot, then job's done. But it's more than that.
Yeah, it's so much more. And it's like, there have been agents who have been adamant that they're not appearing in there, just shoot the video for the house, right?
Yeah.
And I'll just say, can I get you walking through the house? Nope. Can it, seriously? Nope. Just, can I get you a voiceover? Nope. Just film the house. And it's kind of like, look, there's a whole bunch of stats around why filming a property is good for the property. But there's so much more of a benefit to it. It's like anything. I mean, video is the thing for everyone now, whether you're an artist in music or whether you've got a small business or whether, if I've got a couple of days off, I'll come up with some newfangled, bizarre idea, as we were talking about before, and I'll go and shoot the shit out of that, and just kind of, because it's another video for me. What the hell? Like, why not? Or I'll cut together a show reel or whatever. And because I'm crazy about it, I'll just do it. Like, it doesn't matter, I shot a video yesterday for these friends of mine. They own a tattoo shop in Carlton. And again, they gave me like complete creative license. They just kind of went, what do you reckon? And I said, Reservoir Dog strut. We've got to do the Reservoir Dog strut. And they're a bit dubious. They were kind of like, oh, really? And I said, yeah, like, just trust me and go with it, And if it doesn't work, I won't use it, but let's just do it for the sake of doing it. And so they kind of did it, and they felt like dicks doing it.
Is that out? Have you put that out yet?
No, I just cut it together. I sent it to them last night at like 1 a.m. or something.
Oh, right, okay.
And they saw it this morning and just kind of went, holy crap, that's amazing.
It's such, like, when you spell it out and you talk about it, it's so obvious, but it's forgotten about so often, where you need to personalize things and you need to be able to connect with people. And I mean, I remember having this, I'd say debate with somebody years ago about doing video clips. I was talking to another musician, and they said, why spend the money, waste money doing a video clip? Like, music does the talking. It's about the audio. It's about creating songs. I'm not like an actor, or I'm not doing movies. I'm not doing these things. Why would I do something visual? But it's one of our senses.
That's right. You're engaging like multiple senses.
That's it.
If I could do scratch and sniff videos, I'd sense of smell. Like there's popcorn coming through the screen or something. That'd be amazing.
When that technology comes in, there's going to be some scary
We're all
stuff
over
out
it.
there.
Every video is going to smell like chocolate and popcorn.
But it's amazing, like, what gets people to connect, and you need more than one element to be able to connect people. And there's the senses, but there's also story. There's personalizing things. Like, I'm sure with some agents, you probably get a better result or a better track record with selling a property if as you said, the agent's in the shot, but they're also just revealing a little bit of their personality as well.
Yeah.
Because I guess if I'm about to buy my biggest purchase ever in my life, I want to gravitate towards somebody that I can trust. And if I can see somebody that's exuding some form of genuine feeling and seems pleasant and happy and trustworthy, then the house is almost secondary in a weird way, because you're like, oh, I'm sure the house is fine. Like, yeah, this Eric person seems like a really good guy. You know what? I'm gonna keep talking to this guy and see if we can get the house.
Well, the thing is, I mean, when you think about it, it's, as you recently found out, it's a sizable investment. Trust is pretty implicit, and you really, really want it because you're about to invest God knows how much money in bricks and mortar and all that sort of stuff. And so if you can establish a little bit of that beforehand with something of an online presence, then it's just going to make that process a lot easier. The amount of agents who've said to me over the years, things like video really will help prospective buyers coming to an open home, help them feel like they've kind of gained a bit of knowledge about the agent. They kind of feel like they know them a little bit. Yep. I've had agents. I had one guy years ago who dressed as the Flash for his property video. He wanted to do something really quirky, and I kind of went, well, consider your market. Consider if you want to. He's like, yeah, I want to do it. Cool. All right, we did it. And a few weeks into it, after we released the video and all that sort of stuff, sort of went, how did you go? And he goes, man, you wouldn't believe it. People come to my opens and their kids take selfies with me. Like, he was taking the Flash costume and just leaving it in one of the wardrobes. And people walk to the house, see the Flash costume, just go, oh my God, put two and two together immediately.
Genius. Get
him to get changed and then take selfies with the kids.
How funny.
Like, it was brilliant.
How funny.
And the thing is, a lot of people might have sort of thought, this guy's an idiot or whatever. But a lot of other people kind of went, well, he's real. He's actually just having a bit of fun with it, and it really worked for him at the time. It was one of those things that I was a little bit dubious about, but I thought I'll go with it, and I have some faith in his vision, and it worked. It just absolutely worked.
I think with technology and the way we're connected now, there's just so much. I mean, there's still so much opportunity to be even further connected, and that gap between a real estate agent and the general public is just it's it's getting closer and closer. It's the big. There's no trying to spit this out. There's not a big gap like there used to be as far as and with those stereotypes. And I think a lot of stereotypes, I think in general, with across all different backgrounds and industries, will start to disappear because people are forced to be a lot more connected. So through video is just one way of many different aspects of gaining a better understanding of somebody's personality or of what they are as a person. So Flash, suddenly someone understands that this guy's got a sense of humor.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's just an everyday guy, and he could be exactly the same as one of my friends, or he could be exactly the same as me. Like, I love dressing up as the Flash, like, or I love the Flash. I love watching that. Like, this is incredible. Like, so you gravitate towards that person as a personal connection.
Yeah, no, it is very much about one of my. Again, I'm going to use the word client, but he's a mate. I've been shooting with him now for 2 years. And he sent me a message about 3-4 months ago, and he faithfully does video for virtually everything.
Yeah.
And his videos, the ones that I shoot for him, that's where we go berserk. Like, he pushes me like you wouldn't believe in terms of even compositing and CGI and special effects and actors and funky music, and like we go to town on these things. Nice. And every single one is unique. Every single one is different. I'm always challenged to come up with a different way of presenting this property at this place. And it's not about disguising it because the properties are beautiful. It's about just getting that edge, that video edge. And their fan base is growing on Facebook and all that sort of stuff because people are watching it. I'm getting so much other work as a result of these videos that I'm doing for them. And he said to me, the video component, we've done so many of them, it is now... It took about 18 months, and he is now getting inquiries through Facebook, like automatically people coming in saying, send your videos, want you to come and sell a house, can you come and appraise it? So they're actually working for him to kind of get him the extra business rather than him having to go out and chase it like so many people do.
This is gonna work well with my my segues, because when you think about it, working in like video production is so beneficial as far as self-promotion because your products are visual. You're not just giving something to someone that they shove in their pocket or they use like it's like a tool for their business that they keep in the office or whatever it might be. You're giving them something that is going to be put out there in the public domain to advertise something that they're doing. But as a result, your creativity and your product is being put out there as well. So you're actually getting a larger audience, and as a result, getting potentially more opportunities and clients due to, this is the perfect world anyway.
Well, it's funny. I went to a marketing thing the other night. Some people I know were running in where is it's too early. I'll tell you what, in the West somewhere. I was out there anyway. One of the things they picked up on me is my complete inability to cold call, and to I can't call people and say, hi, do you want video? I can't send emails to people and say, hi, do you want video? The most I'll ever do is flick someone a LinkedIn message. That's it. I can't. And they sort of went, listen, you really need to be able to do this. And I kind of went, look, I kind of get that, but what I'm seeing is that if I do a good job and someone shares it out, and I've done my absolute best to make that video engaging and awesome, then, and I don't put my shit over anything. Like it's not about me; it's about the client. My logos go nowhere. Nothing that just goes up on YouTube on their channel because it's about them, not me. But invariably, people find out, and so that's where I get a lot of kind of business. People come to me and say, holy crap, I saw that video. Was that you? And I'll say, yes, it was. And then, because it's not a secret. It's just, it's not about me. It's about them. But invariably they'll find out that it's me, chase me up, and I'll kind of go, can you shoot that for me? And I'll say, no, I can't, but I can shoot something different for you. Because I want to make everybody unique. I'm not, if I'm just sort of applying the carbon copy stamp,
well, you won't get the business.
Well, it's crap, you know. And so they'll say, I want that. And I'll say, well, bad luck. You can't have that. But let's do this for you. And I'll try to get inside their head. And look, to be honest, it's more work for me. But again, if I'm doing it right and I'm really making them stand out and unique, then other people are going to come to me and say, holy crap, did you do that as well? Yes, I did. I'm a bit of a chameleon, and that's my job.
Yeah. How did you, so with, at the moment, I mean, with the challenge of being able to do that cold call, cold email approach to get business, you're really sort of benefiting off that referral system and your product being put out there by agencies and getting, I guess, that visibility. But when, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you first got into video production, you were doing music videos.
Yes.
How did you get into the first real estate video? How did that work? Did you have to do a cold approach, or did something just fall into your lap initially and then you just ran with it?
No. I mean, at the time I was with my wife.
Yeah.
And it was actually her genius.
Yeah.
Because I was just hell bent on shooting music videos. That's all it was going to be.
Yeah.
It was like, no, I love music videos. I just want to shoot them, and that's it. And she said one day we were just sitting there talking about the medium, and she goes, "Do you reckon there's real estate videos?" And I went, "What? Who would do? What the hell? Like, what would be the point of that? Like, it's a house. How interesting could you make a house?" And really, really ignorant on my part. Anyway, we Googled, and there was maybe 2.
Yeah, wow.
In Australia. Like, there really wasn't that many, and they were huge productions. There was a couple in America, but again, huge productions. And I was gobsmacked. I was like, oh my God. And then I kind of saw some possibilities for creativity. So anyway, I kind of got a little bit enthused, and I kind of ran with the idea. And she knew some particularly kind of free thinking agents in the area, and she sort of hit them up and kind of went, hey, can we come and talk to you? And they were like, yeah. And anyway, we sort of pitched it to them, and they kind of went, love it, like, go hard. And so that was the initial foray into it, but I had not considered it as a viable source of work or interesting work. And I've been so proved wrong over the years.
Yeah.
Like, it's brilliant.
And there's that concept of the visibility of, like, I guess from that first video being viewed by other people in the industry, and then you getting the referrals from that increase your business. Is that more or less the way that it's sort of evolved over the years?
No, not initially. Initially, it was very much a case of, the cold calling thing that I hate so much. I tried it.
Yeah.
And I hated every second of it.
Yeah.
And I was sort of faced with a lot of rudeness. As, I've been rude to cold callers. I can't stand them,
same.
So, and so I just couldn't, and it didn't result in anything because I didn't have the confidence to kind of sell it, or the belief probably as well. I was just so conscious and mindful that I was invading someone's kind of space, even just on a phone call. And I just kind of went to hell with this. And then there was a few little, the first couple of people that kind of I worked for made some referrals to friends of theirs in the industry, and I kind of got a bit of a leg up there. But for me, it was LinkedIn very much. I just then went berserk on LinkedIn, connected with a whole bunch of agents and agencies and small businesses, and then started to develop a bit of a plethora of examples to show them. And then it kind of grew from there. But it was tough going in the early days.
Oh, I think even just trying to be self-employed in general seems like such a mental nightmare to deal with. And
that was the single greatest day of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was the most prolific millisecond of change.
Oh, please tell me about this, because I have this fantasy in my head that one day I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I would do. That's the whole problem, why I haven't done anything yet. But to be able to walk away and no longer be employed by somebody else, and just to have full control over my life, very scary and a lot of risk and everything involved, but to have that feeling where you go, that's it.
My first day of freedom, I worked in heavy industry for 25 years, as you know, and it was a good paying job, and I worked with some amazing people that are lifelong friends, all that sort of stuff. So that was basically what kept me going. There was good folk, but heavy industry is horrible. I was always a square peg in a round hole. I was never designed to be able to just follow orders implicitly. Yep. I was a bad boy, like bad army boy, bad brat, horrible. Anyway, it had got to the point where I can remember I was getting some counselling at the time, and the beautiful lady that I was seeing sort of said, listen, this job is going to kill you. You're not designed for it, kind of thing. And I'd sort of worked on a bit of sort of self-confidence, and I'd kind of got to the point where I was actually starting to back myself. And I don't know, call it universe, call it God, I don't know. I don't have any real kind of strong, I just think, karma's an amazing thing. And I got myself to the point where I kind of backed my abilities. And then this opportunity presented itself to leave. And it couldn't come soon enough. And the guy that I worked for, my immediate boss, he was an amazing, amazing man. And I said to him, if you value me in any way, shape or form, you'll let me go as soon as possible. And he was amazing. He got back to me within a couple of days and said, how does 2.5 weeks sound? And that was the end of it. I just left. And I remember waking up the very day after. I was supposed to be on a night shift, but that was my life. And I woke up because I was extremely hungover because a whole bunch of people had come out to see me off, and we got pretty smashed. And I woke up the next day and I was so enthused by the future that I'd forgotten to have the hangover.
Wow.
There's I bounced out of bed at 10:30, mouth like the bottom of a cockie's cage, and it was a bright sunny day. It was October the 22nd, 2011. That was my first day of kind of freedom, and just haven't looked back. And the thing is that just people come into your lives for a reason. It was before that I'd started working with Tim. And I learned a lot from that guy in terms of just, oh my God, so he was quite instrumental in getting my chops up to speed. And then, living over in Adelaide for a period of time without my Tim safety net really kind of forced me to to
pick up things and learn.
To learn that much more. So that by the time I kind of came back here, all of a sudden I'm quite proficient in things like motion matching and CGI editing, coloring, all that sort of stuff. And to this day, Tim makes the comment that you can edit this stuff and with your eyes closed with one arm tied behind your back now, and he's right. I can because I've sharpened up to the degree that I needed to. And the thing is, you're always learning, and whenever you're passionate about something, there's always something new to learn about it. And that's the good bad thing about tech, is that it doesn't ever rest, and so you can't either.
Yeah, that's right. Lots of opportunities, but
I can't wait for holograms. Bring on holograms, mate. Oh my God.
As I said, I've got this fantasy about that feeling, that next day where you just go, you know what? It's all on me now, but in a good way, and I can move forward with 100% focus on what I actually give a shit about and what I love doing. Yeah. And I watch and I listen to too many different things online where, escaping the cubicle, escaping corporate life and everything. I'm like, I'd love to do that. But I think one thing that a lot of people, I think, get scared about when they do it is the risk involved. And it's a very old school way of thinking. It's like, I need stability. I need a stable job. Yeah. But in the reality of it now, I mean, my parents or grandparents, you would get a job when you're 18, and more than likely you'd stay there for your entire life. You'd be there for decades. Yeah. I mean, even my dad's been working for the same company for 40 years. Different roles along the way, but same company. And it's such a foreign concept now because businesses bust. Redundancies are a hell of a lot more real than what they used to be. Yes. Organizational restructures, all these different things, and no job secure at all. Even things such as super and pension and all these things that have kept people reasonably grounded and not doing a great deal. They just I guess ride that calm wave or calm river all the way to retirement. Yeah. The reality is very different. So I think even for me, I always worry that eventually when I work out what the hell I'm going to do, which is probably
when I grow up, what am I going to do?
Which is probably the biggest challenge I've got. But after that and that next day, then I guess there's that old school way of thinking, whereas I don't have that stability anymore. I don't have that weekly or fortnightly or monthly income that I can guarantee each time that comes through. I don't have the the 8%, 10%, 12% super or whatever going into an account. Like, I have to be in control of all these things now. But there must be a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of upside to it, of course.
And that's what you have to do. You have to weigh up because every decision that we ever make is going to be fraught with peril.
Yeah.
There's a good side, there's a bad side, and you need to evaluate. It would have been completely irresponsible of me to just kind of decide, I'm going to shoot video and I'm going to leave work and just start tomorrow and not have a clue because, I had no idea what I was in for in terms of the learning that not only I needed to do initially, but continue to need to do at all times. Yeah. And so what I did was I became passionate about it. I started to learn. I started to apply some skills that I'd learned early on. I connected with good people like Tim and all that sort of stuff. And I worked on it on the side because I needed to know that it was going to be sustainable, And so in the early days, it wasn't, that beautiful man, Arnie Albrecht.
Yeah.
He gave me my first gig, and I'd only just made the decision to start shooting videos semi-professionally. I'd kind of cut my chops a little bit. I look back now and just go, Jesus Christ, I had no idea what I was doing. But just fortuitously, we'd touched base, and he said, "Great, I've got a music video. Let's go." And I went, "What? What?" And that was the start.
Yeah.
God, rest in peace, that beautiful man who, over the years we just shot more and more stuff for him. Crazy Western.
There's some good stuff there.
Movies.
I think because I had him on the podcast.
Yes.
Only a few months before he passed.
Died.
He passed on.
I heard that.
And I put up a bunch of the videos that you and Tim did on there, and just some. Those videos, and I know, like you just mentioned, it was sort of in the earlier stages of trying to find your feet and what works and what doesn't. But going, like, even tying back to what you said about real estate and real estate agents, you grabbed his personality and you put it into a visual form. Like, when you watch those videos, that's Arnie.
Yeah, it is.
It's his humor, his quirkiness. It's everything that he was visually.
Yeah.
And you watch it and you go, this is ridiculous. Like, this is so ridiculous. But that was his humor, and that's just him, and it came through. So whether all the slick sort of techie touches were there at times, I guess the grassroots of what the video was meant to do, you still managed to get it done.
Look, to this day, my favourite's still that Western one, the cowboy one we shot up at Picton. That was a couple of days of just ridiculous amounts of fun, and it wasn't Arnie could afford to pay us all millions of dollars or anything, but it was just very much a case of, like, in that particular, I had absolute belief in that song. I loved it. The arrangement, Gareth's vocals, like, everything was a killer song. And pitched the idea to Arnie. I remember saying, this is what it's putting in my head. And he just kind of went, "Oh, James! Oh, I love it! Oh!" And it's kind of like, because he was such an enthusiastic guy, And so when I started chatting to Tim about it, we started to cook it together. And then I went all over New South Wales trying to find a suitable location, nearly killing myself in the process. That was just horrendous, trying to find this country scenario, and ended up settling on this amazing farm up at Picton, and spending a couple of days out there just shooting and just having a ball. It was
great.
And the tequila coming out, and it's like, oh my God.
I loved his tequila.
Yeah.
Well, for anybody listening, because I should probably make a quick mention that haven't listened to that episode, Arnie was the owner and ran Kickstart Studios in Wollongong.
Yeah.
So for Lord, for 10 years, we always rehearsed there. I think even the last sort of stages of when the band was under the Dungeon name rehearsed there as well. And he's been a massive part of Lord, but also with Dusk and
my band. I jammed there for years, in Cherry Pickers. Like,
of course. Yeah.
So that's how I met him. He was amazing.
Yeah. So a big sort of a fixture of the local Wollongong sort of music crowd, and I guess even sort of creative arts in general, because, I mean, it wasn't just music that he had in there. He had all sorts of projects and weird and wonderful people.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, my, I can remember the video release for the very first song. Can't think of it. Again, I'm getting old. But that very first music video that I shot for him was where I met Tim. The very first time I met Tim. and he invited me to the release.
Oh, that was the Australian Dream.
The Australian Dream, that's the one. The Australian Dream, yes,
yeah.
yes, well done.
Yes, that was at the Hellenic Club.
In Fig Tree.
In Fig Tree. I was at that as well.
Staggering distance from his place.
That's right,
you know?
yeah, perfect positioning.
And he said, there's that many people going to come, James, it's going to be huge. And I'm thinking, okay, there'll be 30 or 40 of his mates or something. And that's cool, whatever. We'll go and have a few drinks. I've always enjoyed catching up with Arnie over the years. And I got there and there's 400 people. The place was truckers. Yeah. And there was something, so I can't remember who it was, some mate of his who was, I don't know if they were a former premier or just whoever they were, just couldn't make it, unfortunately. But I don't know how he did what
I think he had the gift of the gab and that infectious personality that anyone that met him sort of gravitated towards him. And I mean, I remember standing there at that event and I was talking to, I can't remember their names, but the guys from Master's Apprentice or whatever. And I'm going, this band, I've heard of these guys. How the hell are they here? And I was like, I know them. And then he knew somebody that was linked in with the Little River Band and some of the guys that sort of, as a result, knew Farnsey and just all these people. And I'm just like, I mean, I sort of joked with him at one point. I said, well, I guess when you get to your age, you should know a fair few people. I mean, you know.
Not necessarily. I mean, I can remember cutting that video together and he's saying, I've got footage of Gough Whitlam.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And he's like, I interviewed Gough Whitlam. And I went, I don't even know where to start asking questions about this. And he's just like, shut up, James, I'll get you the footage, just use it. And it came out later that he just went up to him and asked him.
Yeah.
They recorded it. And then he was walking away from the interview. Gough had left wherever they were. I can't remember where they were. And the sound guys come up to Arnie and gone, shit, I hadn't hit record. We've got no audio. Arnie went, what? And then he found Gough in the piss. He'd gone for a piss in the toilet, and he pulled up next to him and just gone, basically, you know, and Gough just looked at him apparently and just kind of went, "You joking?" And he's like, "Nah." But true credit, like absolute credit to the man. He got him to sit down again and do the whole thing again.
Yeah.
So just gobsmacked, unbelievable, just how much pull he had no matter where he went. People loved him. You know?
He definitely lived a pretty amazing life. And even when I was talking to him and sort of doing a bit of a reflection over everything he's done, he sort of said, you know, I've got no regrets. Like I've done so much and I've had such a great time. And unfortunately, I wasn't around when they had the funeral, but from what Tim told me, they were doing shots of tequila off his coffin, and they had a big party in his backyard, and it's just and that's exactly what he wanted, and I thought that's just true Arnie, and he went out the way that he wanted to, and I think he was extremely lucky, given that he was given this diagnosis of was it pancreatic cancer, I think, or it was a form of cancer.
Yeah, I remember cancer, yeah.
But he was told that he only had like 3 to 6 months, and I think he lived with it for, I think, a couple of years or close to.
Yeah.
And, but it gave him, I mean, it was only really up until those last couple of months that he really was starting to lose a bit of quality of life, but for the most part, he didn't miss a beat. He
struggled on.
He was still at the studio. He ended up selling the studio, but that was right at the end,
right at the death. Yeah,
and he just did things on his own terms, and I think his attitude probably helped him last as long as he did as well. It's a mental game as well as a physical thing, and I think just his optimism and a bit of that carefree attitude of not really caring, going
casual acceptance of it all was staggering. Tim and I got to see him, I think it was a week or two before he actually died. And we both felt it really important to just we really wanted to see him. And as it turned out, I missed his funeral too. I can't remember where I was, but I couldn't go to it. But to see him that last time and to I felt myself welling up inside, you know, and I wasn't sure how it was going to go. But he was just so accepting.
Yeah.
There was nothing that you couldn't talk about. There was nothing that was sort of taboo or feeling. There was no awkwardness whatsoever. He'd rationalised that it was all going to happen, and he was cool with it. And at the end, we I think even Tim gave him a hug. I did.
Tim?
Yeah, because it's always been the natural kind of thing to embrace the man.
Yeah,
and he was, what was he, 5'4" or something?
Yeah,
so it was kind of like cuddling
yeah.
one of my kids almost. He buried his head in my kind of chest, and I sort of it was bizarre, but that was just the guy, and I had such respect for him, and but walked out of that feeling not horrendous, like to feeling good for him. It was a weird sensation. Like I've always not been fearful of death. I'm not at all fearful of death, but you sort of rationalize it being a very negative thing. So I'm going to be without this person in my life moving on, and it's going to be shit, and going to hate it, and you just kind of get used to it and all that sort of stuff. But with Arnie, it was very much a case of you almost barracking for him. It's kind of like, man, I can't wait to see what's in front of you moving forward.
He did a very good job of making everyone else feel comfortable with it. Because I think one thing that he said to me was he didn't want any pity from anybody else, and he didn't want anybody breaking down around him or anything like that, because he was okay. And so why should anybody else feel bad? Because it is what it is. And then he, as you said, he rationalized it. And I think whether he consciously tried to do it or not, I think he made everyone else feel not good about it, but be accepting. And even like I had a similar feeling because I went to his house to do the podcast, and I walked away and I was going to the car and I thought that might be it. I may never see him again.
That's right.
I don't know how much longer he's going to last. He was a lot weaker than when I'd seen him previously.
Extremely frail, yeah.
But very jovial and still moving around and whatnot. But I could see the change, and I thought, well, that might be it.
Yeah.
And that was the last time I saw him, and I did speak to him over the phone a little while afterwards. But when I walked away, a similar feeling where it was very weird, it was a very unusual feeling. You kind of were almost saying to yourself, I should be feeling upset at the moment, but I kind of don't. And why? Like, am I an asshole? Am I like this cold-hearted person for not feeling so much grief at the moment? But then I just realized that he's given me the closure I need to be accepting of the situation that he's going through. Like, I'm not even going through it firsthand. He is. And, I mean, he's been, I guess, a big part of our lives collectively as a band because we've just been going to him for so many years. And
that's right.
But personally, I haven't been that sort of close to him either. So, but I was impacted by it. But anyway, it's just it was a very, very amazing character.
Yeah, he was.
Very amazing character.
And responsible for far too many brain cell losses in my own experience. Like that, his tequila and that Glühwein, red wine, orange, weird German thing that he used to make up in giant vats. And oh my God.
He's a scary person.
Yeah.
All right, I'm keeping an eye on the time. So I want to...
That's cool.
I want to get a couple of things out very quickly.
Consulting the notes.
All right, so I'm going to put up a bunch of videos so people can see what you do. So I'll put some real estate stuff up because we spoke a bit about that.
Okay, yeah.
But also the music side of things. Now, we spoke last night because I was trying to get my head around what the hell is going on with company names and whatnot. So a lot of the videos that I'll put up are under the Dusk music video production. So do you want to give me a quick crash course of, I guess, the formation of that and the transition to Arcshot Media now?
Yeah, so, I mean, basically, Dusk is Arcshot Media. We were sort of looking to keep them separate because Dusk was the music video side of things. Tim was involved in that. At the time, I wasn't doing anything corporate. It was all just music video. So Dusk was sort of Dusk. And then I kind of went through a fair transition coming back into Arcshot Media, and I'd let the Dusk music business name lapse. So it kind of became, so it was when it was kind of time to want to sort of get it up again. I couldn't register the name. It had been sort of taken by someone else, or similar enough that they wouldn't allow me to do it. So I just kind of went, all right. And then I agonized over, like, God, picking a business name these days is a nightmare. And then I stumbled across Arcshot, being a cinema term for a curved or moving shot. And I kind of went, I kind of dig that because I'm not really one for static cameras. And so Arcshot became Arcshot, and Tim was like, what do you want to do with Dusk? And initially it was kind of like, well, let's just kind of have that operate under the Arcshot banner as being a music video arm. But the fact of the matter is that, I'll pull Tim up to help me with some of this corporate stuff sort of from time to time. So it's all interchangeable. So whether it's a music video, a business promo, a cinema ad, whatever it is, he's as involved with that stuff as he is with the music video stuff. So it's just bugger it. It's just all Arcshot now.
It probably helped with marketing because you can just pull everything together under the one banner, and it gives you more options. So if you're pitching to a real estate agent, or you've produced content for a real estate agent and it's online, and people are viewing a sample or whatever, or it links back to your YouTube channel, and then there's other music videos and other types of video production in there, then I guess that sort of opens up it's that virtual business card or portfolio to go.
It's the versatility, very much. I mean, initially I was concerned. I didn't want people to sort of think, all my corporate stuff's going to look like a music video. And so I was concerned about them pigeonholing me as a music video director, and therefore just having that only genre kind of under his belt sort of thing. But in this day and age, it really all just kind of transition into each other. There are kind of blendings where I'll take music video experience to kind of create something a little bit unusual. And it's not that it has to have bling or whatever. Like it's more techniques than anything else. And so I just think, well, no, it is part of the portfolio. It's part of the versatility, and it's really, we can do anything, and we can, so.
It's good. And I mean, you can do your own video promotion anyway for yourself, as you've done with all sorts of stuff like interactive video and whatnot, selling and educating people on the possibilities. So you're not leaving it up to people to try and work that out themselves.
No,
you can spell it out visually to them, not just on an email or on a phone call, whatever. You can go, here's visually exactly how versatile we are and what we can do.
Well, the thing we're working on at the moment is live video.
Okay,
so Tim and I have been talking at length for months now about being able to not just point a phone camera at someone and say, okay, you're live on Facebook, actually doing it bloody properly. And so we're researching all the possible options that there are, and just about to kind of make some decisions so that we can do like a multi-camera live Facebook operation and kind of have Tim on the desk kind of, wherever the hell we are with dongles. So we've got, we've got internet, and then we can just feed from wherever.
That's pretty cool.
It would be funky as hell. So so still kind of nutting that out, because there's a whole bunch of fresh stuff on the market for it. And if one thing I've learned, never get the first thing.
Yeah, right.
The pilot thing's rubbish.
Yeah.
Like, wait until there's a bit of...
Get all the bugs out, all the initial
bugs. Totally right,
anyway.
because I've seen Facebook live feeds, as an example, just fail catastrophically, and you just kind of go, just don't want that to happen.
Yeah, that's right. Don't jump in straight away.
Yeah. So no, when it happens, hopefully it's not too far away, but when it happens, it'll be right and it'll be reliable, and we can then just sort of offer that as well. So it's always looking for something. Like I said, you've got to stay on top of this stuff.
Yeah,
when you're in this game.
It can be a headache because you're constantly having to continue to educate and upskill yourself, but you're continually getting given new opportunities as well.
Yeah, I mean, the trick is really just not jumping at every, because, tech goes down so many kind of rabbit holes that just fail. I can remember when QR codes, they were talking about QR codes and that sort of stuff, and then there was virtual reality. And I dabbled with that. Like, to this day, my business card plays a video on it.
Yeah.
But they're from what I can see, they're not particularly prevalent. It may well be holograms, which is the next thing, or 3D video or whatever it is, but I watch it with interest because ultimately we'll head in a direction, and that's the direction that I need to kind of ensure that I'm savvy with. So but you don't want to invest too much time in going down a rabbit hole, which is just going to be ultimately be garbage.
All right, well, I know you got to shoot to go too, but one last question before we wrap it up.
All right.
Would you ever get back in front of the video? Back in front of the camera? Because I know that you've been, some of the stuff that you film, probably more so with the music video side of things, as far as the more storyboard, plot-based theatrical videos, your face sometimes pops up in the background as an extra here and there. But do you have an underlying urge to get back in front of the camera, or are you more comfortable and happy to stay where you are?
Mate, it's me getting in front of the camera is very much only ever due to necessity.
Yeah.
one thing that's come to light recently, apparently, is I have a good voiceover voice. And so
you've got a very good voice. Wait until you listen back to this. You'll be like, oh, you sound amazing.
Thanks, mate. So I've done a few of the ads that I've done for cinema. The clients actually said, could you actually do the voiceover? And
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
As this summer. But it's so little things like that I can kind of do. I jump in front of the camera only through necessity if I just want to knock something out really quick, like that interactive video. Just to do it, it was just me and a couple of hours just working out the content and then just smashing it out rather than bugging. I mean, I have some awesome presenters that I work with, actors, models. These guys are amazing, and they're more than willing to sort of help. But I just don't want to kind of bug them that much, So I'd rather get them paying gigs and that sort of thing. So I just kind of smash it out. So I do it on a needs basis sometimes, but no, generally I leave it to the experts, mate. They know what they're doing.
You don't need to inflate your ego.
No, I'm so much better on the other side of the camera. I spent enough time in front of cameras when I was playing and stuff, and that was the day, and that was fine. And no, I'm very happy where I am.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll let you continue working today. And or start working.
Yes, you too, mate.
And thanks for having me around.
Thanks for coming. It's good to see you.
Thanks, everyone. That was James Lopes. Hope you enjoyed that chat with him. And if you want to reach out to James and say hello, or maybe you've got some video production work that you need done, James could be your guy. Either way, you can go over to andysocial.net. I'm going to have all of James's contact details, websites, and even some of the videos that we spoke about during the chat. I'll put a few up there. And you know what? To be honest, I might even put a couple of Lord videos on there as well. I've got no shame. A bit of self-promotion never hurts. So that will all be in the show notes over at andysocial.net. So check it out. All right, before we wrap this podcast up, I'm going to try and skim through this as quickly as possible. I'll try not to make this painful. If you want to support this podcast, best ways to do it is sharing it around. If you know somebody that might like a particular guest or a topic that we've covered, please share these links around, whether it be the iTunes links, website links, YouTube links. I've got everything up on YouTube as well. It's a great way for people to be introduced to podcasts that might not previously be familiar with that format. YouTube is something that's quite familiar with a lot of people, so that's there. Apart from that, you can do the usual social media bullshit, likes, comments, tagging, shares, all that sort of stuff goes a long way with a few mouse clicks. It's fantastic, or a few finger taps. And then lastly, if you shop on Amazon, you can go to the portal page, the Amazon portal page over on my website, andysocial.net. And what that does is it takes you to Amazon when you click on that special link. Nothing changes, but I get a small percentage of what you spend on your Amazon order. And that tiny, and it's tiny, that tiny little bit of money each time goes towards the ongoing costs, the reoccurring little fees and whatnot that I incur running this podcast, whether it be the podcast or website hosting, some of the gear, just fixing up and maintaining things, or just other little costs that I have along the way. The goal isn't to make money off this podcast, but it certainly is a nice feeling when I get a little bit of coin coming through that covers some of these costs. It's really, really cool. So thank you so much for those that do often shop through Amazon using that link on my website. Thank you so much. All right, that's it. That's enough. Oh, actually, iTunes have changed their branding to Apple Podcasts now as well. So if you're somebody that listens through there, the branding's changed. So it's now called Apple Podcasts. It's very exciting and fancy. You can get onto the podcast app or on iTunes itself, and you can rate and review this podcast as well. Not a lot of people do that. So I think when people actually do take the time to leave a review, or even if it's just a one-word review, I don't mind, or rate the stars out of 5, when people actually do that, it goes a long way, because not a lot of people actually do it. So that's that. All right, that's enough. Oh, I feel exhausted. Okay, so we'll be back next week. I've got another great guest. I've got quite a bit coming up. This episode is one of a truckload that I've recorded, and that's giving me a nice big buffer for the next few weeks leading up to wherever the hell I'm going to get to. So lots of stuff coming up. I'm doing a bit of travel as well, so hopefully some interesting podcast guests will come out of that as well. So anyway, stay tuned. Lots of exciting people coming up. Thank you once again for listening, supporting. It means a lot. Until next week.